Okay, this is the second time I'm recording this video because I made a big stupid mistake the first time. So, yeah, here we go. A little while ago I asked if people would be interested in seeing videos about how I made the songs in my EP, Left Without Words, that I released about a month and a half ago, and I got a lot of positive response, so I'm making this. I don't really know how these are all going to go, but I want to cover two basic categories. One is the musical aspect, so, you know, the composition, arrangements, you know, the feel of the song, the musical theory that I employed, sort of, all that. And then there's the technical side, you know, using the instruments, finding the sounds, how I tweak them, mixing, using effects. This is all kind of new stuff for me still, so I don't entirely know what I'm doing or the best way to do these things, but if you're interested in seeing, you know, the behind the scenes of how I make this stuff, hopefully you'll learn things and be interested in what's going on here. So the first track we're doing, the first track on the album, is Be Chill or Be Dead. It's a weird name, and it's one that I will explain later. So let's just go right into the beginning of the song. This song is in 3/4, but it is sort of grouped more in groups of 6. So you've got these little arpeggiated triads, and it's in groups. So sort of staying on one chord, and then the next chord, and the next chord, and the next chord. So it's like 4 groups of 3 or 2 groups of 6 you could think of. Because in, you know, one measure, you've got 6 hits, so it's like subdivided into 6. So 3 or 6, however you want to count it. So the first triads here, let me just play them. So that is just the pattern, the whole song until the very end. That's what happens. So you're starting with a G minor chord. Oh yeah, the key signature of this, I'm pretty sure, is D minor, even though I don't play a D minor chord in the song. And I also play E minor instead of E diminished, but I think it's basically D minor. I don't know. I don't really think about the key signature before I start playing chords and stuff most of the time. I just kind of end up where I end up, but it makes the most sense as D minor, I think, in case that matters to you. So anyway, starting with this G minor, and then the second chord is B flat major, but it's in this inversion. So you have the G here dropping to an F. But if I was playing that in just not inverted, regular triad form, that would be the F, or the B flat minor with the F is the 5th, but the 5th is on the bottom. So then that keeps going into the second pair of chords. The first 2 chords repeat twice in that 4 pattern, and then the next part. So you've got A minor, and then you have 2 notes dropping down into this inversion of E minor. So if I weren't inverting that, that would be that. But I have the 3rd and the 5th on the bottom of the E minor chord. So that keeps the chords pretty tight together, because if I was playing just the regular A minor triad and going up to an E minor, I have to move all the way from the A on my thumb all the way to the E on the thumb. But this way I just drop 2 fingers down, so it's a tighter sound, easier to play. Not that I'm playing this live, but it makes sense in music theory. That's what you use inversions on a keyboard. It's to easily get to the notes in a chord without having to move your whole hand shape all around the keyboard. So that's all that's going on there. So you just have G minor, B flat major, A minor, E minor. And that's the whole chord pattern through the entire song. Very simple, 4 chords, real simple. So the first extra element that starts to come in is this right here, this little bell sound. And it's just these 3 little notes. So it's just F, E, D. And the D is dropping in on those first 2 chords. So you have the G minor and the B flat major. Those both have a D in them, so it makes sense to resolve on the D right there. And then the second grouping here. Here, let me take out the other parts just so you can hear those. So now it's dropping to C and then B. So because there's a C in the A minor, A, C, E, that makes sense with the chord there. And then the other chord being the E minor, which has a B. You're ending on the B there. So it's part of the chord, even though you're not hearing the whole chord at once because it's that arpeggio. It's there. It makes tonal sense to your ear, starting with the same notes, but then landing where the chord is every time in this little sequence. So then you also have the bass and the drums come in. There's a little intro part for the drums, and then the bass starts. So I'll just pair those together. That just goes into the beat that you'll hear for the entire rest of the song. So you have this pretty basic, chill drum part. Just repeats over these 4 measures, with this one little extra hit kind of on that downbeat, or that upbeat rather, right before the next downbeat. So that kind of drives it forward a little bit and lets you know the pattern's starting over again. Bass is very simple. In the main pattern here, it's just doing a note in the chord, down, at the bottom, and then going up an octave again on the upbeat. Whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, having that upbeat movement kind of pushes things forward a little bit, even though it's a slow tempo. You kind of get this little bit of energy right before you're hitting the next measure there. So yeah, that all goes together for a bit. Then the next element to come in, we have this choir sound, which is just 2 octaves of the same pitch, just these long drones over the chords. And I'll play that along with the melodic part right there. So you can hear it's just staying on this note. What is that? The D? Yeah. yeah, it's just staying on that through the two different chords that are in the arpeggios. Because that note is in both chords, it's just a different spot in the chord, so it's just staying there. And then the next pair. Yeah, it's on the E. So yeah, it's just staying on that E, which is in the A minor, and of course the E minor. And then the other element that's coming in right here is this little kind of melodic idea over that, which was these little triads. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about these. Okay, my bad, I skipped over. We'll get to that. This part, where the drums come in, we're also adding these little triads in this instrument. And what that's doing is mostly just kind of reinforcing those chords that are in the arpeggios by just playing them at the beginning of the measure. But this one, no, not that one. Over here, yeah, I do something a little interesting, so let's just listen to it. So that's the E minor, A minor, E minor. Then we return to G minor. Now here, right here, that second chord in the progression, in the arpeggio, I'm playing B flat major. This right here is what would normally be hang on, D, yeah, D, F, A. Actually, yeah, this is my D minor, isn't it? Yeah, so here, I had this messed up earlier, that's why I had to re-record. This is the only place that I'm playing a D minor chord, and it's on top of this B flat major, so it's this weird kind of thing. But instead of basically being D flat, or D minor, you've got that on top of the B flat major. So then you end up with, essentially. But with the arpeggio, it's not all happening at once, so you don't quite hear it like that, but that is what is happening in the chord structure. So essentially you have this B major 7 because of this. That little clash there. So that's kind of cool. So that's like the only place you're actually getting that tonic idea from the D minor, but it's really this B flat 7 thing. I don't know. It's cool. I think it's cool. Moving on. So what I was going to talk about. So that instrument moves down to this little 4 notes kind of melody. So it's just going B flat, D, C, A. So let me play that. Yeah, and so the arpeggio at that point. Sorry, I keep having to cut because things keep happening in my house. So what I was trying to show you earlier is that the A that this little melody drops to actually clashes with the B flat of that B flat major chord that's happening right there. It's over here. So you have a little bit of tension. And this other part. this has the D there, which is, not in the A minor chord, but it's not clashing as harshly because it's not just a half step away, and it's more like almost like a passing tone, just kind of going into the next chord. So that's a little more consonant. There's dissonance here, more consonants here, but just a little bit. So that's all. And then the last thing that I'm adding in this little section kind of sticking to the chords, but there's a little moment right there. You get this F on top of on top of that D minor. I don't know, it just sounds kind of interesting. Or actually, yeah, it's clashing with this, I think. Suddenly you kind of have a lot more melodic stuff happening all at once, but everything's still pretty spaced out, so like even where there's kind of little crunches, they're not like super intense, but it's starting to build like a little more tension in the song. And then the next thing that comes in, so this part, this right here, this little 4 notes, that switches over to this different instrument here. I'll just solo that. So yeah, it's coming in on this bell sound with a lot of verb. And that's just playing the same thing. But then here, now you've got these little 4-note going up and down. But this is where things start to crunch up. So I'll just play all the melodic stuff together and you'll kind of hear. Go outside from everything just being in those triads to a lot of movement between where you would play those notes. So it's like you're getting a lot of these seconds. So like little second clashes and stuff. It's cool. I don't know. I like stuff like that where there's a lot of tension and resolution, but like kind of constantly going back and forth. So this is where things start to ramp up a little bit in intensity, even though same feel, same rhythm, same tempo, but you feel this building tension. And then the last bit is where the drums change, and I'll just play everything together so you can kind of hear just the whole ending. And then, yeah, just everything just ends on the A minor, basically. Because you got the A and the C here in what was the arpeggio. Bass is just sitting down. What do I got there on A? Then the choir is doing this big chord. I think I just have the A and E. Yeah, I just have the A and E doubled, and then yeah, A once more on top. That's just kind of finishing out. And then the bell just pops in on that A. So yeah, I actually don't think I even have a C. Do I have a C in here? Oh yeah, the C happens. That's weird. Why'd I do that? I don't know. So the C, where this little pattern starts. But that's the only C in this entire last A minor chord, which is kind of a weird thing to do, but I like the way it sounds. I just showed you that there's a C right here in this very first instrument. I don't know how I forgot that. It's right there. It's A, and C. There's the C. It's right there. Still sounds cool though. Anyway, yeah, that's the arrangement of that piece. And so the name Be Chill or Be Dead is basically just putting words to this idea that it starts pretty spaced out and slow, and there's just kind of this groove, and you're grooving along, but then things start getting more and more intense, and it's like remain calm as all these clashes start coming in, and then the tempo, the rhythm picks up, and then it's like this big ending. So it's just building up for the entire piece, but still kind of maintaining this like chill hip hop inspired feel. So I don't know. That was the concept. Name doesn't have too much meaning or anything. It's just that's what I thought of to describe this. So I'll just go over the instruments that I'm using real quick. These are all free synthesizers and instruments and stuff. The best things in life are free. So this is the arpeggio. This is just this cool kind of like slightly wobbly like 80s VHS sound. That I just, tweaked to the preset. And that's all I did for this piece, because this was the first song I made. I was just grabbing sounds, being like, that sounds cool, and then putting them together and, finding what works. We have the drum set here with this machine. Got your, kicks and your snares and your little trap kit hits. And then, yeah, I didn't use that. The bass here, and here's where I'll start talking about how I use effects to change things. So it's just this instrument, this TAL bass line, which is a nice little free synth. Solo it. So yeah, it's just doing these drones. But I've got this bit crusher effect, which is kind of adding that little bit of crunch over the top. So let me bypass the effect. So that's the sound that just the synthesizer's making. Just a very clean bass sound. Honestly, it goes up even into like mids. And then I'll put the bit crush back on. And so that kind of helps it cut through a little more. It's not really getting it louder, but it's just adding a little bit of that edge to the sound, so it stands out a little more from the other synths and stuff. So, easy enough. Then I've got this choir effect coming in, or instrument. This is from Spitfire Labs, which is an amazing piece of software. It's just all these cool, like, built-in sample pack kind of things that they just make for free, and they all work in this VST housing, and it's just amazing. So it's just these long choir notes. They swell and open up the longer you hold them. Yeah, I love that sound. So, real simple. Just put it in, play it. Sounds good. And then we got this instrument, which is the little triads, and then the sort of additional moving melody stuff in this Dext, which I believe is imitating a Yamaha synthesizer. It's a specific one. I don't know which one, but it's just got these little sort of marimba-y, bell-y sounds. You know, sounds cool. And then I've got this. I have panning left and right. So let me show you the effect that's doing that. Right over here, pancake. So let me solo that. Get to the part where it's moving more so you can hear the effect clearly. So you can trace in time where it's going all the way left, all the way right. So that just kind of spaces it out. You know, you're hearing things in the left ear, and then you're hearing things in the right ear, and it adds this kind of three-dimensional aspect to the music, which is cool. This is another great free effect, so easy to use. You can do so much with it. I mean, you can, you know, like make it go all right, pop it back left. You can have it go at different times. You know, it just charts out in musical time, you know, how far it's going to pan wherever you put it. It's awesome. Then we've got these bell sounds. This is in Surge, another free synth. And let me go higher. So what I've done is made this kind of high clipping bell with a lot of reverb on it. And so what I've done is I've taken all these effects. So I have the saturation, I've got stereo expander, that just kind of puts more sound in the left and right channels to make it sound bigger. And I have it going to a reverb send here. So I'm going to bypass all those effects other than the equalizer. Okay. Put the solo first. So that's just the sound of the synth itself. But what I'm doing is I'm putting this saturation on it. And so what that's doing is basically distorting it. And I have it set to keep high, so it's more higher frequencies that are getting pushed. And so that's creating that like really harsh sound. Keep the expander on. But then when I have the reverb on, which I'll show you what that plugin looks like. So it's just this huge stereo width, a lot of wet signal, and I have the dry signal pushed down a little bit. So that initial loudness is actually coming down, and then you're getting a ton of trail of that reverb effect. So now it sounds harsh, but it's more distant. It's a little more subdued, and then you're getting all this trail that's adding to the atmosphere of everything. And then the last instrument is just this Orpheus synth. Just these kind of slightly percussive, but more like a pad. Just these long, verby trail sounds. And that's it. So that's all the sounds. And I'll show you one thing about mixing. So I took this class with Andrew Huang, who's a producer and a YouTuber, fantastic musician, incredible dude. But I took this class with Monthly on production. And one of his main tips for mixing is before you mix anything, before you start setting levels, you want to do what's called high pass everything that's not bass. So I'll just show you on the main instrument here. You have this equalizer, and if you don't know what this is, you're basically pushing or dropping frequencies. So you have lower bassier frequencies, higher trebly frequencies, and you can use this line here you manipulate with the nodes and create a different sound by cutting off all of these lower frequencies, or you can cut higher frequencies, you can push them up, do whatever. What I have here is high pass shelving. So the lower frequencies past here are just not going to come through at all, and you're just going to get the higher stuff that's not as great out here. And what that does is you do that on all your non-bass instruments, so you're not getting all those bass frequencies that you're not really hearing from the actual pitches being played on the instruments. You're not getting those still in the sound, so that they're not crashing into each other and creating all this mud and overlapping with the bass and muddying up your sound. If you do this, everything stands out a lot more clearer, and you're just getting what you're actually playing and what you actually want to hear from the instrument. So I'll show you visually like how that works out. So you can see this is where the pitch information is coming through the most, these peaks, but you're still getting some info here in the bass registers, and you don't want that. So I have this cutting that off so it doesn't get through into the mix. And it's also going a little bit into the mids here, dropping them just a touch. That's okay because it's just keeping it from peaking. Yeah. So this was the sound that sounded right to my ears when I was doing this. So there's probably better ways of knowing exactly where to cut off your frequencies and stuff like that, but I just did what worked. So after you do that, then you can start balancing the levels with each other, because everything's going to be a lot clearer. You're going to know exactly where everything is sitting a lot better. And then the last part of the whole process that honestly I don't really know all that much about, but it's mastering. So while mixing is balancing the level of all your instruments against each other, mastering is taking that final product and then getting the volume right on your overall song. And so this program is actually not a free program, but I got it for free. There was a promotion or something where you could get this for free, by iZotope. It's very good. All their stuff is fantastic. So the basic tool that I'm using here is a maximizer, where you're taking the input, so what's going into your master channel, that's the end result of all your mixed instruments here. You're taking that and then you're pushing the volume up, but having a limit so it doesn't get louder than this. And what was recommended by Andrew Huang, I believe, was negative 0.3 dB. So nothing is going to be louder than that on the final track, but everything that's coming into the master is going to get pushed up, and then slightly squashed maybe, but basically you're saying it so that it's loud enough but not too loud that you're going to get peaks and clips and stuff. And then you have an EQ just for the final mix of everything. I've got a little bit of treble rolling off just to keep it from being too harsh, and that was it. So yeah, you just keep tweaking your mix over and over until you have the product that you want. And that's the basic process of making a song. This one was really simple. Again, I was working with the first things I ever did messing around. So hopefully this was interesting and showed you the process of how I make these things. The next track is going to be way more complicated from the technical side of things, so that might take a really long time. I don't even know how long this video is, so hope you liked this. See you in the next one.